Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Women Bhattacharya, coming up in the next 30 minutes. American and regional diplomats urge respect for minorities in Syria after Assad's ousting. Blinken says United States is in direct contact with the Syrian rebel group. South Korea's acting President Han pledges to maintain stability. President Yoon's presidential pass suspended, vows to fight on in the court. ABC News to pay $15 million to settle a defamation lawsuit with Donald Trump. And Sri Lankan President Dissanayake begins India visit today to meet Indian counterpart Draupadi Murmu and hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The American and regional diplomats have urged the new Syrian rulers to restore order for minorities in Syria after Assad's ousting. Syria's neighbor Jordan held a meeting of top diplomats, including the United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken, UN Special Envoy for Syria Geir Pedersen, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, and foreign ministers from Jordan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Qatar on Saturday. The meeting was conducted by King of Jordan Abdullah II bin Al Hussein. At the conclusion of the meeting, Arab, Turkish and European diplomats jointly briefed the media at the end of Jordan's meeting in Aqaba, which discussed recent developments in Syria. They agreed that the formation of a new government in Syria must be inclusive and should respect minority rights.
What matters is inclusivity in implementing the resolution, no exclusion or marginalization, so that all Syrians feel that this historical moment for all of them. As I said, may this moment lead, God willing, to a historic achievement.
Stability in the region is very important because our neighbors' problems today are our problems tomorrow. And therefore, I'm very glad that we had this meeting together with the international actors as well as the regional actors. Syria faces a hopeful but uncertain future, and that's why we all agreed on the principles that the new leadership of Syria should also follow. That is very important to all of us. That is stability, sovereignty, territorial integrity of Syria, but also respect for the minorities, no radicalization, institution build-up, unity of government that includes all the groups in Syria, and also accountability for the crimes committed.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, while briefing the media in Aqaba, Jordan, separately after the meeting, said that the transition process should be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned and produce an inclusive and representative government.
We agreed that the transition process should be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned and produce an inclusive and representative government. The rights of all Syrians, including minorities and women, should be respected. Humanitarian aid should be able to reach people who need it. State institutions should deliver essential services to the Syrian people. Syria should not be used as a base for terrorist groups or others who threaten Syria's people, its neighbors, or the world.
Antony Blinken also said that the United States has made direct contact with Syrian rebel group HTS, which led the offensive that toppled the Assad regime. It is the first acknowledgement of direct American contact with Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which the U.S. still designates as a terrorist organization. Blinken was speaking in Jordan after talks with representatives from several Arab countries, Turkey and Europe to discuss the future of Syria.
Yes, we've been in contact with HTS and with other parties. We have impressed upon everyone we've been in contact with the importance of helping find Austin Tice and bringing him home. And we've also shared the principles that I just laid out for our ongoing support, principles, again, that have now been adopted by countries throughout the region and well beyond. and we've communicated those.
Israel's Army Chief Herzi Halevi visited troops operating in the UN-patrolled buffer zone that separates the Israel-controlled Golan Heights from Syria. In fact, the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered the military to prepare to remain throughout the winter in the zone and the summit of Mount Hermon. Israel seized the demilitarized area on the strategic plateau just hours after Syrian rebels swept President Bashar al-Assad from power. In the latest from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia claimed to have destroyed 15 Ukrainian drones overnight. 13 of the drones were downed over the Black Sea and 1 each over the Russian border regions of Kursk and Volgorod. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Saturday claimed that Russia began deploying North Korean soldiers to storm Ukrainian positions in the Kursk region, according to preliminary information. Russia, meanwhile, has neither confirmed nor denied the presence of North Koreans on its part.
I have preliminary evidence that the Russians have begun to use soldiers from North Korea in assaults, a noticeable number of them. I am referring to operations in the Kursk region, where Ukraine has been mounting an incursion since August.
South Korea's acting president Han Duck-soo had a phone call with U.S. President Joe Biden. During the call, President Biden reiterated United States' commitment to the U.S.-South Korea alliance, stating that it remains ironclad and unchanged. Biden added that U.S. will work with South Korea to further develop and strengthen the alliance, as well as trilateral cooperation among South Korea, Japan, and the United States. Prime Minister Han became South Korea's assumed acting president following Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment on Saturday. With South Korea's parliament voting successfully to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol, Yoon's presidential powers and duties stand suspended. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo becomes acting president under the constitutional provisions. However, the impeached president vows to fight on as the matter now goes to the Constitutional Court for review. It has up to 180 days to determine whether to dismiss Yoon as president or restore his powers. Fuzail Ahmad reports.
South Korean lawmakers on Saturday voted to remove President Yoon Suk-yeol from office for his failed attempt to impose martial law on December 3rd. Out of 300 lawmakers, 204 voted to impeach the president on allegations of insurrection, while 85 voted against. 3 abstained, with 8 votes nullified.
I would like to announce the results of the vote. The motion to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol received 204 votes in favor and 85 votes against, out of a total of 300 votes cast. With 3 abstentions and 8 invalid votes, I declare it passed.
After the impeachment, South Korean President Yoon will remain in office, but his presidential powers will remain suspended. However, Yoon vowed not to give up.
I will never give up. I will do my best for the country until the last minute, taking reprimand, encouragement and support for me in mind.
So what happens next? The impeachment process moves to the Constitutional Court, where justices will review the case to determine whether Yoon's removal is justified. The court now has up to 180 days to determine whether to dismiss Yoon as the president or restore his powers. If the court upholds the impeachment, Yoon will be removed from office. If he is thrown out of office, a national election to choose his successor must be held within 60 days. If convicted, the leader could face death penalty or life imprisonment. Yoon earlier exercised the presidential privilege of immunity from criminal prosecution. However, that does not extend to allegations of rebellion or treason. Under the Constitution, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, who was appointed by Yoon, becomes acting president following impeachment.
I will give all my strength and efforts to run this state administration stable during this difficult time.
So who is Prime Minister Han Duck-soo? Han Duck-soo was appointed as Prime Minister after Yoon was elected in 2022. Han has expertise in economy, trade and public affairs and was Prime Minister during the Roh Moo-hyun administration from April 2007 to February 2008. He spent more than 40 years in the public sector, including the Customs Agency, Trade Ministry and Finance Ministry. He also served as an ambassador to the United States. The vote took place as hundreds of thousands took to the streets of Seoul in rival rallies for and against Yoon, who launched a failed attempt to impose martial law on December 3rd. Many celebrated while Yoon supporters termed it unfortunate. It was the second attempt to impeach Yoon after the first vote was boycotted by his conservative People Power Party. The impeachment came following his short-lived attempt to impose martial law on December 3rd. His move had shocked the nation and split his party. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
US President-elect Donald Trump has picked his former intelligence chief Richard Grenell as his presidential envoy for special missions. Trump announced the move on his Truth social media platform, saying Grenell would work in some of the hottest spots around the world, including Venezuela and North Korea. Trump also named his ally Devin Nunes, a former U.S. lawmaker who now runs Trump's Truth social media platform, to serve as chairman of President's Intelligence Advisory Board. Nunes is a longtime Trump defender who led the U.S. House of Representatives Intelligence Committee during part of Trump's first White House term. The President's Intelligence Advisory Board is a White House panel that offers the President independent assessments of intelligence agencies' effectiveness and planning, though he will remain Truth Social CEO while serving on the advisory panel. ABC News has agreed to give $15 million to Donald Trump's presidential library to settle a lawsuit over comments that anchor George Stephanopoulos made on air involving the civil case brought against Trump by writer E. Jean Carroll. The lawsuit, filed on 19th March in U.S. District Court in southern Florida, accused Stephanopoulos of making the statements with malice and a disregard for the truth. It said the statements were distributed wildly to third parties and repeated. The lawsuit cites a March 10 interview with U.S. Representative Nancy Mace, a Republican who has spoken publicly about being raped as a teenager. According to the settlement, ABC News must publish by Sunday a statement at the bottom of a March 10 online article that accompanied the interview. Leaders from Latin American and Caribbean nations met in Caracas during the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, or ALBA summit on Saturday. ALBA was founded in 2004 under the leadership of former Cuban President Fidel Castro and late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez as a platform for integration in Latin America and the Caribbean with an emphasis on cooperation. The event, hosted by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, was attended by heads of states from regional countries such as Cuba's Miguel Diaz-Canel, Bolivia's Luis Arce, and Nicaragua's Daniel Ortega. Diaz-Canel criticized the impact of the U.S. blockade on Cuba's economy and on the mental health of its citizens.
Since 2019, the U.S. blockade against Cuba has escalated to an extreme dimension, much more cruel and inhuman, which is not only expressed in very high costs in materials and financial resources, but also burdens to unsustainable limits the daily life of our nation. The continuation of this policy over time has an unmeasurable psychological cost.
Let's take a look at some other stories making news around the world. Pro-EU demonstrators in Georgia forced authorities to postpone the switching on of festive lights on a Christmas tree during the festive season outside the country's parliament. Protesters are hailing this as a small victory against the authorities. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro met Ecuador's Foreign Minister Gabriela Sommerfeld in the Galapagos Islands of Ecuador. The visit aims to boost bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The founder and owner of global clothing chain Mango, Isaac Andek, died on Saturday in a mountain accident. Police authorities said that the 71-year-old businessman slipped and fell over 100 meters from a cliff while hiking. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live, Moldova's Deputy Prime Minister is on a 3-day visit to India. And India's Chief of Naval Staff embarks on a 4-day visit to Indonesia. Also, Jasprit Bumrah provides India with a much-needed breakthrough, dismisses Steve Smith on 101.
So we begin our journey exploring the factories where cricket gear is made, uncovering the process that has made Meerut famous worldwide.
Meerut was one area which was allocated for sports industry.
They have done very well, they are making a cricket bat, cricket ball, or pads, leather goods.
All around the world, they get their bats made in India. So you can imagine the kind of work they put in, and it's not an easy job.
There is a lot of hard work, a lot of craftsmanship, a lot of precision that goes inside the product.
You're watching DD India Live with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. Sri Lanka's President Kumar Dissanayake will begin his India tour today, marking his first overseas visit after assuming office. President Dissanayake will be accompanied by Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Vijitha Herath and Deputy Minister of Finance Dr. Harshana Surja Peruma. During the three-day visit, President Dissanayake will meet his Indian counterpart Draupadi Murmu and hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday, while External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will call on the visiting dignitary on Sunday evening. Moldova's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Mihail Popsoy has arrived on his first official visit to India, marking a significant step in strengthening ties between the two countries. Welcoming Moldovan Deputy PM, India's External Affairs Ministry in a social media post said that his visit will deepen India-Moldova bilateral ties and foster a stronger partnership. During his visit, Deputy PM Popsoy will meet India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, and on Monday, Popsoy will participate in a wreath-laying ceremony at Rajghat. Popsoy's visit follows the second India-Moldova Foreign Office consultations held in New Delhi in October. India's Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi, has embarked on a 4-day official visit to Indonesia on Sunday. The visit aims to improve bilateral defense relations in line with the deepening comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. During the visit, the Indian Navy Chief is scheduled to engage in bilateral discussions with top-level Indonesian government and defense officials. Indian Parliament's lower house, Lok Sabha, concluded the debate commemorating 75 years of India's constitution on Saturday that saw the participation of leaders from all political parties, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi. Summing up the debate, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a fervent appeal to adopt zero tolerance against corruption and keep intact respect for Constitution. Rajya Sabha, the upper house, will resume the debate on Monday.
Highlighting important amendments brought by his government to keep the unity of India intact, Prime Minister said his government is committed to implement Uniform Civil Code as it reflects the vision of the founding fathers of the Indian Constitution.
Saman Nagarik Sanhita, Uniform Civil Code, ये विषय भी संविधान सभा के ध्यान बाहर नहीं था और उसी संविधान की भावना को ध्यान में रखते हुए, संविधान निर्माताओं की भावनाओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए हम पूरी ताकत से लगे हुए हैं सेक्युलर सिविल कोड की।
Prime Minister highlighted the steps taken by NDA government to bring unity in the country through various schemes and initiatives. He said Article 370 was abrogated in Jammu and Kashmir and one nation, one tax has been implemented in the country.
आर्टिकल 370 देश की एकता में रुकावट बना पड़ा था, दीवार बना पड़ा था। देश की एकता हमारी प्राथमिकता थी, जो कि हमारी संविधान की भावना थी, और इसलिए धारा 370 को हमने जमीन पर उतार दिया।
On the country's rapid economic expansion, the Prime Minister said India is committed to become a developed nation and it will become a third largest economy in coming years. Lauding the glorious journey of the Indian Constitution during the last 75 years, Prime Minister stressed on the contribution of women in framing the Constitution.
मौलिक चिंतन के आधार पर उन्होंने संविधान सभा की डिबेट को समृद्ध किया था और वे सभी बहनें अलग अलग बैकग्राउंड थी, अलग अलग क्षेत्र की थी, और संविधान में उन्होंने जो जो सुझाव दिए, उन सुझावों का संविधान के निर्माण पर बहुत बड़ा प्रभाव रहा था.
Taking a dig at the Congress party, Prime Minister said it left no stone unturned in attacking the spirit of Indian Constitution during one family rule for 55 years. He said when the Constitution was completing its 25 years, an emergency was imposed by the Congress and the constitutional rights were denied.
जब देश संविधान के 25 वर्ष पूरे कर रहा था, उसी समय हमारे देश में संविधान को नोच लिया गया, इमरजेंसी आपातकाल लाया गया. संवैधानिक व्यवस्थाओं को समाप्त कर दिया गया, देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया, नागरिकों के अधिकारों को लूट लिया गया.
Prime Minister concluded his speech with 11 resolutions focusing on fundamental duties, zero tolerance on corruption, respect for constitution and women-led development. Vishal Barrister's report for DD India.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news today. Tourists from across the country are drawn by the allure of snowfall, fueling optimism of Shimla. Hotels, cafes and shops in Shimla are witnessing increased footfall, with tourism operators anticipating a booming season ahead. The toy train ride, winding through lush pine forests and snow-covered hills, remain a favorite among visitors. From scenic views to vibrant winter markets, Shimla offers an ideal escape, sparking hope for a robust revival of the local economy. A multi-specialty health camp was organized in Srinagar, aiming to provide quality healthcare services to the local community. The camp featured specialists from various medical fields, offering free consultations, diagnostic services and treatment to residents. Hundreds of patients, including women, children and elderly individuals, benefited from the initiative, which also included awareness sessions on preventive healthcare. Cold wave engulfed Jammu and Kashmir's Srinagar on Sunday morning. As per India's Met Department, winter chill has brought temperatures down to -5 degrees Celsius in parts of Srinagar. The city is known for its extreme cold and scenic beauty by the tourists during winter season. In sports, Jasprit Bumrah took the much-needed wicket of Australia's Steve Smith to break the 241-run partnership that put India on the back foot on day 2 of the third Border Gavaskar Trophy test at Brisbane. Smith had made a brilliant century but was caught at slip by Rohit. At the other end, Travis Head resumed from where he left at Adelaide before getting dismissed for 152 by Bumrah. With this, Bumrah has completed his 5-wicket haul, which includes the wickets of Australian openers and Michelle Marsh. Nitish Kumar Reddy is the only other bowler to take a wicket for India, dismissing Labuschagne for just 12 runs. India's Lok Sabha's Speaker and Rajya Sabha's Chairman's 11 face-off in a friendly 20-over match at the Major Dhyan Chand National Stadium in New Delhi. Friendly cricket match being played among members of Parliament across political parties is aimed at raising awareness and advocating for TB Mukt Bharat. A total of 38 MPs from both houses have given their assent to play the friendly match. Scenic sunsets in Vietnam continue to enchant travelers, with Dien Cape in Phu Yen province standing out as a prime destination. Located at the country's easternmost point, this natural wonder offers a perfect setting for sky grazers. As the sun descends, the sky transforms into a dazzling palette of gold, crimson and lavender, reflecting off the calm waters of the East Sea, creating a magical atmosphere. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platforms. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's it in this edition of DD India Live. But do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and around the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Anand Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.